In this video, we're going to investigate the Design tab in our administration and talk about the twigs, the template files that we can edit. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm in my dashboard and I'm clicking on Design. And inside here you'll see Layouts. Now, we've kind of been through this before, but when I look at this section I can see the layouts for Manufacturer, Home, Default, Category, Checkout, the Account page, but let's go to Home. And I'm going to go hit this section right here. And this is the top module. You see it says Slideshow. This is the Featured, and this is the Carousel. So the Carousel's on the bottom, Features second, and Homepage is third. You can add something if you want. You can hit the plus button and add another module, or remove it. When you click plus, you see that nothing shows up, but what you can do is maybe make a count, put that stuff there, and then you have those sections. Okay. Now you can also add a 3-column layout, and this would be a grid system of 12. If you've had WebD 168, you'll know that this is 6, 3, and 3. 3 left, 6 in the middle, and 3 on top. And you can feel free to do that as well. But I would keep it as is for the layout. Now if you look here, this is the root, Common Home. So the root tells you where the files are. Okay. Now I'm going into my theme editor right now, because that's the layout, and this is what we mean by Common and Home. Okay, if I click on Common and I click on the Home twig, this is the Common Home container with class of row, which is exactly what Bootstrap does for responsiveness. The row, this is the closing of the row, and you'll see content here and a class with the double parentheses or curly braces. Those are variables inside here. So what you see here is actually PHP that's inside the row. But until you understand the twig syntax, you wouldn't want to mess with that. I highly recommend you reading the twig syntax, but this is the header section here, so we're commenting out the header, and this is the footer. So let's take a look at our source code. I'm going to go to mm214.com. We'll go to OpenCart, oops, and upload. And what we're going to do is kind of take a look at the container div. So I'm going to look for container here, and you're going to see div class container right there. See that? That row. So let's go to the theme, and inside the theme you see Common Home. Now we know from our experience with CSS that IDs are unique, meaning there's only one per page. So this right here is the theme that we're looking for. Okay? And then we look at our theme editor again, and we see class container div row. So that's this right here, and there's our row. Okay, so what goes on in here? Well, all this stuff, the div ID content, that is the slideshow. That is what's inside this section. Okay, so for each one of these home twigs, it gets called on each row. Okay, so here's div ID content. So we've seen container, we've got div class row. Now we can look at div ID content, and we'll look at ID equals content as we make heads or tails of this thing. So see div ID content, and since we have a 12-column grid, one column, it's small 12. So all this you wouldn't touch. Okay, this is all part of that first slideshow, and this is slideshow 0. So looking at the source code, this is why I'm instructing you folks to go right through the admin only. Okay, you can edit your CSS, which we'll get into. But right now this is about understanding how the theme editor works with a twig. Okay, so it says basically if column left, and we know from that last layout that there was no column left. All I have is the middle. Okay, so it says if column left and column right, then set the classes to be 6 for the middle. If column left or column right, set class small 9. Okay, so this is an if, else, and this is the set class for 12. This is the last of the 3 possibilities. We have if column left and column right, then 6. If column left or column right, very different, then set it at 9, which means you'd have 3 and 9 or 9 and 3. Lastly, we have the column 12, which is our case right now. So this is based on the layout, the overall layout of the system. Then we have content class and content type bottom, which is what we just saw in the design layout. So there's no column right here. It won't exist. So this is column left, column right, and this is column top and bottom. In our case, column left and column right do not even exist. And in most of your mock-ups, they had a one-column layout, which is really handy. Okay, here we see the header and the footer. Remember, we're in the home twig. So this is just about structural layouts. That's what twigs do. Okay. If you don't understand the logic of the if-else, or if you haven't had Bootstrap before, this isn't going to make sense. Okay. Now let's go to the next step, which is the header and the footer. So I'm going to go to my header twig right now, and this is your top doc type, your boilerplate. You see HTML direction language. These are all variables that are built into the settings. Okay. So what we're looking for right now is the doc right here, which is this. Okay. And as we go to our theme, we can scroll down to the bottom here, and you see it goes all the way down to the closing header and then the menu tag. Okay, so this right here is the menu. So we have search, we have cart, we have the logo right here, where if there's a logo, then hyperlink around that logo. Otherwise, just do else, which is just the Ahref home around the name. So if there's no logo, they just want to do this, and this is the close of that condition. And then we have the search, and then we have the card icons. So right here, when we look at this, this is that search. This is the card icon. Okay, so all this stuff, these can be seen in your settings. These are all things that pertain to the store. And as you start manipulating this, it's going to be very confusing at first. But once you go into theme editors, you're going to be fine. So what I'm telling you is I recommend that you go and, don't mess with this too much. Work with layouts first, then with theme editors if you need to, but the real video that you're going to need to look at is your CSS and understanding, the system requirements about the logo. Okay, so this is our header. Let's take a look at our footer. So our footer starts at the footer tag, and we have if there's information. Now everything you see here is usually in the settings, the system area right here, where we define our site and we show things. So this is if we have information, and information is going to be defined in the system. And so this is our footer, and then we have contact, return, and sitemap. So if we look at our footer down here, we have information, customer service, extra, and my account. So if I look at the source code again and we look for the footer tag, this is the footer that we see. And you see I have information, customer service, extras, and my account. This is how it starts. Then we have a divider, and then we have this. Okay. So this footer, right now, if we go to the bottom, this is the body HTML, and this is the powered by. So if you didn't want the power, you would just edit this, and then it would go away. You can go pop like this, and hit save. And if we go back to our dashboard right here, I'm going to open it up in a new tab, and we click refresh. There's our refresh the theme, refresh the SAS. Now we go to the bottom, and it's still there, so we'd have to find out why it's still there, and we would look for it down here. So that's by the divider, and I think I actually killed the power by, which is good. So this is the p tag below it, and power tag here, and it could be just because of my cache. So you'll find the cache on OpenCart is really finicky. It takes a while to lose it, but our powered by variable is right here, and we have the store divide by. So we'll let that load for a second. I know it takes a second to reload, especially when we're below. So this is, we saw the powered by is this PHP paragraph tag here, and we've got the horizontal rule tag. So we can go back to our source. There's our horizontal rule. Div class powered by is below that, and we have lost that section. So I'm very confident that this will be good. So for all our scripts, these are all the JavaScripts, which are again in systems. So now we've gone into the footer twig, the header twig, and the last thing is the menu twig, which I would like to talk about. But the search twig, all these little twigs are little templates for the entire section. So this is our menu, and it's based on how many categories we have and what the children are. And so this is your HTML, but I would recommend not really touching it. But the themes control all elements, and that's for consistency. And you see my section here is still being in that section. And so what I need to do is go into my dashboard and make positively sure that we've refreshed this section. Next thing I'm going to do is go back into my theme editor and go back to the footer. And this is the powered by right here. I can actually remove this right here and hit save. And you can hit reset and go back too for that. But I am positive that, and you see these things all line up in their tabs so you can work with them. But that's how we would remove things. And once the cache is removed and catches up with itself, then my powered by would be hopefully gone. So HTML, go focus and learn your layout, learn how to do that, learn how to revert back, learn how to refresh your cache, and learn how to change the design on these things. Okay,